Hi. So thanks so much for joining. Welcome to our webinar, The Rise of Social Commerce, How Brands Can Shorten the Distance Between Discovery and Commerce. For our meeting today, we're partnering with Facebook. This webinar is actually going to be the first in our series, so please be sure to look out for future events. Quickly, we'll introduce ourselves. My name's Julie Barcia. I'm a director here at Code3.
Hey, I'm Jake Merrill, lead of strategy and growth at Marketplace Strategy.
I'm Badru. I'm a product marketing manager at Facebook.
So quickly before we get into this, just wanted to go over some housekeeping rules. So all of this session will be totally recorded and slides will be sent out as a follow-up. We also encourage you to engage and message in the chat. We do have a section for Q&A reserved at the end, but please feel free to submit questions throughout the presentation. Getting into our agenda. Here's what you'll learn today. Who Code3 is. What does the term social commerce really mean? Why should brands be exploring commerce on Facebook as part of their strategy? Why should brands care? Where is the future of social commerce going? And what role will social commerce and commerce on Facebook play in the future of e-commerce? So first, we'll get into a little bit about us. Our mission at Code3 is to turn digital marketing possibilities into client success faster. This means we are committed to and uniquely capable of driving performance at scale. There's an incredible amount of choice today in digital advertising, and there is no one simple formula for success. Our team of over 250 performance marketing experts spend every day thinking about how to help our clients succeed, achieving tangible results. And we expect, as you should too, to do that as quickly as possible. The name Code3 reflects our commitment to delivering our clients a comprehensive solution across all digital channels, not just social. In addition, this name helps embody our approach to digital, honing in on the three pillars of media, creative, and commerce. First, media. Our agnostic approach to platforms allow our partners to test, learn, and run media on top performing channels. For creative, whether it's trans creation, new messaging, or full creative services, our team collaborates with yours to create the right message at the right time. Lastly, commerce. With a focus on response and conversion, our team codifies your KPIs into a success metric at speed and scale. Here's a quick snapshot of the brands that we work with today. We are lucky enough to have experience in dealing with clients both large and small, but in every case, our goal is to establish a deep partnership with each of our clients, functioning as an extension of your team. We've got history. We were the first ads API partner for Facebook in 2009 and have been at the forefront of social media advertising since inception. A few stats showcasing the sheer breadth and depth of our experience. We're a leader in delivering lower funnel e-com returns and have tested against the audience, content, and formats that impact our clients' business. Working with over 70 retail brands in the last year alone, we have institutional knowledge around the category and what makes it unique. A few stats worth mentioning are here. One stat in particular is worth calling out. In 2020, we delivered 64 billion e-commerce impressions on Facebook alone, where campaigns drove a purchase value over $1. Enough about us though, let's talk about social commerce.
Awesome. So yeah, before we jump into Facebook commerce specifically and talk about the opportunity for brands, it's important to really think about what is social commerce. It's a relatively new term. So let's talk a little bit about how we got here and set the stage. So won't go into this in too much detail, but as you can see, really over the last 50 years or so, a lot has changed in terms of how shoppers can buy online. If we look back to the mid 90s and really through the 2010s, that's when really shoppers were able to start buying things online and just get more comfortable with the idea of putting your credit card information online and getting something shipped to your house. So in the mid 90s with eBay and Amazon launching, that was really like the first step. But then we moved to the 2010s, you can see there it really e-commerce growth just accelerated rapidly. So that could be because of things like Amazon, Walmart, other marketplaces where people are able to buy online and brands are able to come together and give shoppers an experience pretty similar to what they get in a brick and mortar store. But along the same time, you've got platforms like Shopify that are enabling brands to sell direct to consumer on their website and create a more one-to-one experience. So all of that's been happening over the last 25 years or so. But what that takes us to, if we go to last year, we look at 2020. If we go to the next slide here, you can see some of the things that have changed just very recently. There we go, perfect. So yeah, a lot changed, right? Now that's not only just considering the pandemic and everything that shifted in terms of user behavior. You no longer were even able to physically go to a store if you wanted to. You had to adapt as a shopper and go online. But also platforms were really changing their capabilities and really stepping their game up. So we've got here buy online, pick up in store. That's something that really only started becoming big within the last couple of years. On top of that, platforms were investing more in their mobile shopping experience. So you could be sitting on your couch and just scrolling through and easily shopping across any e-retailer or wherever else you wanted to shop. There's some other examples here as well, but the general idea here is with last year, everything shifted online. As we know, things just happened so quickly. And with that, really platforms needed to change the way they were interacting with shoppers to create an experience that really fit shoppers and met them with the needs they want. So if we go to the next slide here, you can see really a bit more details on what that actually means. But really what that means is that shopping habits have changed. Before, if you wanted to go shopping, you had to actually go somewhere. So whether that's an actual brick and mortar store, you drive to a store, whether it's going to Amazon.com or straight to a D2C site, you actually had to go somewhere to shop, to learn about different products. If you were interested in buying within a specific category, you actually needed to go somewhere to shop. But now, really with the rise of social commerce specifically, people are always shopping. So you can picture yourself as a user. You might be in your Instagram feed looking through what friends and family are posting, but you're also just seeing a lot of different brands, a lot of different products that you might want to buy. And the key is now is that you're able to always be shopping. You don't need to just research online and then go buy in store. You can do all of it in one very seamless place. And that takes us to the next slide, which is really what social commerce is. And so here we are now, social commerce. It's kind of maybe a buzzword at this point. It's relatively new. We've probably all heard of social commerce, but really the idea of social commerce is social platforms having changed their platform in a way to make sure that shoppers are able to seamlessly buy products within app and not have to go somewhere else. So from a brand's perspective, that's great because there's less friction. You're not going to necessarily lose some people that might not want to go to your site and have to purchase from a bunch of different sites. From a brand's perspective, if they have a user in a social environment, that person maybe is already used to buying other products and they can just more easily buy yours. And then alongside that, from a user perspective, once again, pretty much a complete lack of friction. So if they find something they like while they're just browsing, while they're shopping, right, they can just very easily buy it and not have to go to a new website, enter a credit card. They can just buy it all in that one spot. So it creates a really great experience both for shoppers as well as brands. So let's go to the next slide and talk a little bit about the opportunity, because I think it's important to think about, this is a new thing, but what's the size of the opportunity? And so you'll see here in 2017, 18, and 19, pretty consistent growth year over year. So about 22 to 25% growth in terms of social commerce sales. But then you look at 2020 and even this year, you'll see much higher growth. So 34, 37% the last couple of years. And so with all those things we talked about before, with platforms stepping up their game, with user behavior changing, and obviously with everything that's happened in the last year and a half, year or so, there's just a bigger opportunity for brands to think about social commerce as more and more shoppers are buying this way. So when we look at social commerce, the key is not only is growth accelerating last year and this year, but as you look at the black bars on that chart, the opportunity is getting to be very big. So it's something brands should really consider soon. And so just a couple stats here to once again highlight the opportunity for brands. I won't go through all the metrics on the bottom, so you can look through them. Each of them I think tells a good story, but really once again, to highlight the opportunity, if you look at the top part there, I think that's the thing that kind of strikes me the most. And that's the number of US social commerce buyers will surpass 100 million within the next couple of years. So as you can tell, that's a pretty big number. And while it's not at that point yet, I think from a brand's perspective, it's important to realize that, yeah, within, really 2-3 years, it's going to be a noticeably big opportunity. So making sure that you're doing what you can today to take advantage of maybe if it's a smaller opportunity, that's fine. Take advantage of it now to be set up for success once it gets to be a bit bigger. And so with that, the last thing to note here is who's doing this. You can see here to the right a couple of the different platforms that are really tapping into social commerce. So when we look at Facebook and Instagram, currently they're leading the way. So with Facebook and Instagram having about 18% and 11% respectively of respondents when asked if an adult had purchased something via social media platforms. So as you can see there, Facebook, Instagram very much leading the way. Pinterest, Snapchat, TikTok also having offerings there as well. But really, as it stands right now, Facebook, Instagram really leading the way, and they have done a lot of work to set themselves up well to take advantage of that increase in overall, consumption and demand for social commerce. So they're set up really well right now. Obviously, a lot can happen, but I think that segues really well into the next section. So I'm going to hand it over to Badru, who's going to talk about Facebook specific or commerce specifically through the lens of Facebook.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake. So hi, everyone. Just a reminder again, Badru, product marketing manager at Facebook. Been with the company for a little over 3 years and just really excited to talk to you about commerce today. So when we think about this question of what is commerce at Facebook, it's interesting because it feels like it's something that's sort of a new concept, but in actuality, it's been an integral part of our platform for years. I think whether you look at Facebook has always been about connecting people with what they love, and more often than not, those connections do lead to commerce. If we look back a few years ago at the launch of Pages in 2015, it was about allowing businesses and brands to now have space on the platform. With the launch of Marketplace, it was how do we provide a service to facilitate C2C and B2C transactions. And even with our investment in the overall ads ecosystem across our surfaces, it was really about how do we help connect businesses and our consumers. And so we've continued to ingrain this in the fiber of our applications and platforms based off the needs of our users. And for years, people have been using our apps to buy and sell things. And we've also evolved our apps to mirror and adjust to this human behavior, some of the things that Jake touched on a little earlier. But if we go to the next slide, if you think about things like, let's take groups. So this was a part of the platform that was initially intended to bring people of common ideas together, but admins quickly noticed that people were using them to buy and sell products. It wasn't the smoothest experience, but consumer behavior and the need ultimately prompted the launch of Facebook Marketplace to make this more seamless. On Instagram, we found that many messages and comments businesses were asking for information. Many of the messages and comments for products like what are the pricing, what's the availability, how they could buy it, and was becoming more new to shop. So we created shopping on Instagram. And I think that's something that would ideally make it easier for you to buy from the brands that you love. In live video, we saw that people wanted to buy products that were featured, and because they were commenting and messaging on the person's video, now we're testing live shopping features that have enabled people to connect with sellers more easily when they see something they like during a live video. And so we've always tried our best to really understand the needs of the market, as well as develop solutions that meet customers' expectations, especially when we see new trends. If we go to the next slide, I think what we can highlight is that that's why now more than ever, it's more important to know your customer and also anticipate their needs. And we're seeing the following shifts in key consumer expectations. The first really being this emphasis on discovery. So how people discover products has completely changed. Rather than, like Jake mentioned, going out to a physical store, people and brands are sharing and discovering products literally all day, every day on social platforms. That can look like a brand sharing an item that maybe fulfills a need that you have, or a friend message you a product that they think you might love. And in fact, 52% of online brand discovery happens on these public social media feeds. The second piece is really just around immediacy. People's expectations around convenience have changed, and everyone's expecting everything now. I mean, I am a abuser of my Amazon Prime account, and I'm very accustomed to being able to order something with a click of a button and having it appear within hours. And because of this, people have come to expect that quick and easy experience. And if they don't get that, they'll leave, as you can kind of tell by the cart abandonment stats. Another piece is really just this personalization, which is critical. With the mass adoption of things like Netflix and Spotify, they've created this expectation of sort of a one-to-one personalization. And again, I'm not sure about how everybody's been spending their pandemic experience, but I've gotten very intimate with my Netflix account, and probably to the point where it probably knows me a little better than some of my family members. But I don't think I'm the only one. These Netflix personalization engines are so good that essentially almost 80% of the shows that or movies that people are viewed on the platform are based off of these recommendations. And I think that speaks to the larger feeling where we can see the stats around 91% of consumers say they're more likely to shop with a brand that provides them offers or recommendations that are relevant to them. So relevancy as well as this immediacy is key. And then I think the last point Jake kind of touched on earlier around just like safety and security. We've now moved to a space where people are doing more online shopping. And when people do shop online, they want to feel like their payments and information are kept safe. And so while we continue to see these areas become more and more priorities, especially as online shopping grows, it's very important that we reconsider the overall shopping journey in order to meet these growing customer expectations. So for businesses, it is possible to not only meet these expectations of today's shoppers, but thrive while doing it. I think more than ever, it's critical for businesses to recognize that the customer journey doesn't start at intent. It actually starts well before it. Businesses that are investing in more modern kinds of marketing can find ways to meet customers where they are. And that's what we're doing at Facebook as we try and evolve the space. Here, we're not rolling out features. We're really focused on creating solutions and reducing friction and creating seamless experiences help enable something. And reducing friction and creating seamless experiences help enable something at Facebook that we're calling discovery commerce. If e-commerce is about search and purchase through your website, it really means that you're limiting yourself to the people who already know the products that they're looking for before they go. So these customers already know what they want and are searching on that space. With the discovery commerce, products find people. So people can discover the things that they're most likely going to love. Now, it's important to note that discovery commerce is not a replacement of e-commerce, but rather marketing that goes one step further than e-commerce can allow right now. And so we see this as a natural evolution of the platform. If we look at the next slide, and so it's like as we continue to invest in commerce, our goal is really just to create these shopping experiences for people, as well as address the business needs of a lot of the advertisers and businesses today through shopping solutions that really just leverage our superpower of discovery. I kind of touched on discovery commerce a little bit, but can give you just an overall view if we can move to the next slide and just take a step back. So as we think about our overall discovery commerce system, every one of our apps is rooted in a customer-centric experience. And because of that, we understand people deeply. And so our personalization engine is the foundation of our system, and it's fueled by two things. One is our understanding of the community, as well as also your business's understanding of who your customers are. By leveraging our machine learning, we can work to deliver the most relevant experiences to each person to help them discover the products that they love. And with our new shopping solutions, people can take actions immediately, whether that's checking out on your site or even purchasing without leaving the platform. And based off of these information from these interactions can now help you gather insights that will then help you reach even more new customers and create even more demand, which will then in turn help you grow your business. And so this is the continually improving system at what makes Facebook the home of discovery commerce. And I think this is a number of holistic solutions, but would love to now sort of narrow focus and look at some of our shopping solutions. The next one, which you might have heard of, which is also Facebook Shops. And so this is the latest step we've taken to enable commerce across Facebook apps. So Shops makes it easier for businesses to set up their digital storefront as well as sell things online. And what we're doing is trying to create this unified experience. We're really weaving shopping into the fabric of each of our apps to help people gather inspiration, really drive discovery, and also buy the products they love. And so with this, our unified vision is really just to create this shopping experience across all of our Facebook apps. So for shoppers, each shopping experience will be slightly different, but really that's a good thing because we're utilizing what's best about each app to improve the shopping experience. So for example, on Facebook, shoppers will be able to see likes and shares from potentially their friends or their community. While on Instagram, shoppers can express themselves through the latest releases or get access to exclusive drops first from the brands that they're most interested in. And so as we continue to develop our shopping solutions across surfaces, each app will add a unique value, making it worthwhile to consider how you build your brand and sell your products across all of them, and really generate like a holistic strategy versus just focusing on one. If we go to the next slide, we're also exploring new shopping experience and media formats that will help businesses drive broader distribution and, most importantly, connect with new customers. So we're doing this in a few ways. One is obviously allowing discovery commerce, but then also looking into the existing, obviously utilizing discovery commerce, but then also leaning into the existing social media experiences. So think about tags, things like hashtags, product recommendations, as well as getting opinions from interest groups. The second is also really just improving our organic shops and product distribution. So finding ways to surface these shopping content across our app, whether it be in feed, on pages, or other surfaces. And then we're also just really continuing to develop shoppable media creation features. So creating experiences and things like stories, feed, live, reels, as well as IGTV. And then I think the last piece is really just on driving conversion in app as we expand our products like checkout. And so there's a number of ways that your business we can help your business drive their full funnel marketing strategies with leveraging our solutions. The idea of a full funnel, if we move to the next slide, the idea of a full funnel approach will be key, especially as shopping continues to be more important part of consumer behavior. And the fact that people have all the joy of engaging with a brand and that experience while also being able to shop is one of the superpowers that we've identified for IG. It's not just about a transaction, but think about creating shoppable moments, either based off tent poles or topics that align with your brand and your audience interest. And this was something that we saw that Adidas did really well with their collaboration with Donald Glover. We go to the next slide. We can kind of highlight how Adidas have really kind of latched on to a pretty large Instagram cultural moment when they dropped an exclusive product during Coachella. Adidas and Donald Glover had a collaboration, and so how it worked was it started with an airdrop request for people to accept a photo from an account that was claiming to be Donald Glover. Those attendees that were bold enough to accept it welcomed the picture and were treated to the new pair of shoes. And then even after that activation, Donald Glover released 5 videos titled Donald Glover Presents and started leveraging product tags as well as his following to increase awareness around the drop. They then did the drop through the Instagram program, and the shoes launched and sold out within hours. And so this is an example of how businesses are using our solutions as a part of their existing overall marketing strategy, really to drive discovery. And so as you can see, there's a number of ways and things that people can do with our shopping solutions to help drive discovery, as well as establishing your brands across our family of apps. So whether it's showcasing your products through collections, utilizing checkout to drive experiences like drops and live shopping, or driving discovery through product tags. Our solutions are really focused on creating better shopping experiences for your both businesses and customers across all of our platforms. And so as always, we're here with solutions that are focused on really helping your businesses grow. And we're really invested in the business needs of not only our customers, but businesses as well. And so we're really excited to see how this shopping space evolves and also how you guys use our solutions. And so that's enough about what we're thinking about at Facebook. Turn it over to you, Jay.
Awesome, thank you. So yeah, from here, let's talk about what are the benefits for brands today if they do choose to lean in a bit more into Facebook commerce. So let's go to the next slide. And at a high level here, the 4 things we've identified as reasons why, from a brand's perspective, it'd be helpful to be an early adopter. So we're going to go into each of these in a little bit more depth. So let's go to the next slide and start with incremental revenue. So I think an important thing to note when we think about incremental revenue, I just want to make sure the slide, go to the next slide real quick. Thank you. An important thing to note is if we look historically back, earlier on in this webinar, we talked about kind of the change of e-commerce over time. And something to note there is that historically, when we talk about anytime in the 2010s, as Amazon, for instance, was really just starting to grow and become something that was as big as it is today, brands that invested early into that channel oftentimes were winners then, and honestly oftentimes now are winners now, right? So challenger brands were able to take categories where in brick and mortar they couldn't do very well, but because of the way e-commerce works, if they were able to lean in early into an e-commerce channel, they were able to set themselves up for success, not only early, but then it really carried through into today now. And so when we think about an incremental revenue stream, it's important to realize that while it may not be a big opportunity today, if we look back at history, we know that by investing early, and that doesn't necessarily only have to mean money, that can just be time and expertise. By really just leaning in, brands can set themselves up for long-term success. And then when we look at the second part, just another thing to know, I think it's really important to realize that not everybody today, shoppers that is, are going to want to use any of these social commerce apps. There are still going to be some people that want to end up going to a website or even still buying in store, right? But there are people that are really going to like it, and that's today, and that's going to grow over the next couple of years, where eventually shoppers are really going to expect to be able to, while scrolling through their Instagram feed, be able to see something they like, click on it, and buy it. And so the key thing to note here now is that there's not necessarily a whole lot of those shoppers today that are only going to buy if you're kind of leaning into a social commerce platform. But some of those shoppers that are like that, if you're not set up well for success there, they might end up buying from other brands, or maybe just determine, what, I might forget about it for now, and maybe don't end up coming and buying later. So that's why it's important to realize that some people are already wanting to shop this way, and so it's best to be ready for those people that are like that. And then lastly here, when we think about incremental revenue stream, one other thing to just note is that right now it's likely not going to really rival your sales from a D2C perspective, right? And that's for a variety of reasons, but right now the opportunity is going to be pretty small. The key thing to note though is, like we said before, as the overall opportunity and the size of this category and the number of people that are buying through social commerce platforms, as that grows, your slice of that can grow as well too. So while it's not a huge opportunity today from revenue perspective, eventually it can be. So if you look 3 years from now, it could actually be a pretty sizable part of your overall revenue as a company. So I'm sure there will be brands that exist now that maybe weren't that big, but because they really lean into social commerce, they're going to be able to become even bigger than they would have been if they hadn't done this. So that's the other exciting part about it. It really is an opportunity for brands big and small to really find new customers and get in front of them while the category as a whole is growing.
So the next key consideration for brands is access to new features. This is who doesn't want access to stuff. So brands that take advantage of this early and are early adopters are going to be more likely to be considered for alphas and betas as the product is being developed. These brands that do take advantage and get involved early are likely going to advance and be more recognizable within the platform as well, and be just generally build brand favorability within the commerce platform. So again, alpha and beta access will get you access to new things. You'll be an early tester, and likely the more alphas and betas that you do, you're going to likely be chosen for them over and over again. And then early presence within commerce really helps to increase and expand upon brand favorability and recognition. And I feel like Jake actually hit on this a little bit earlier when he was talking about brands that have adopted to other marketplaces such as Amazon early. People become familiar with those brands. People want to shop with those brands again. There's no reason that history wouldn't repeat itself here in this instance as well. Another consideration here is just using commerce as an additional awareness driver. So right now, not only using commerce for driving direct sales, but using it for prospecting. We know that there are Facebook tools that exist to prospect through DABA. This can be, again, like another stream as a way to do that. So while user adoption of shops is definitely still ramping up, it's, again, still in its early stages. Brands might not see an immediate uptick in sales through shops, but can drive additional traffic to their own website, where consumers are probably more likely to check out and purchase. We know that it takes some time for people to adapt and become familiar with the platform. The personalization aspect of this will definitely help in terms of curating products that people are interested in, and brands that people are obviously like and want to buy from. But in terms of checking out and buying through the Facebook app right now, we don't anticipate that it's going to be as much as an e-com site, but we do think that that will increase over time. So again, it's important to just be present on the platform in order to continue to reach people. And then shops, lastly, can be used to raise incremental awareness for your brand, and therefore drive incremental sales. So it can actually be viewed as like a full funnel aspect of your e-commerce and media planning. The last thing here that I have is maintaining signal activity. For those of you who have been part of other webinars that we've done, or if you're an existing Code3 client, you may have heard us talk about this, or heard Facebook talk about this. But we're in a really interesting time right now in the digital ecosystem. There's a lot of changes that are happening. We know that iOS 14 is hanging above everyone's heads. Google has also announced changes that should impact everyone towards the end of 2021 or early 2022. But not only that, there have been changes that have happened already, CCPA, GDPR, that have fundamentally changed the way that we're able to target, the way that we're able to track people across the web. So we know that web-based pixel signals are going to continue to weaken with updates to this digital ecosystem. And so continuing to just be vigilant of that and take advantage of opportunities here can help to make sure that we're being as efficient and strong as we can, because all actions within Facebook Commerce actually take place within the Facebook universe. So not relying on any sort of web-based pixel here to track purchases from a consumer. And so it can actually be a way to be very signal resilient. And maintain 100% of your customer actions in order to track the journey to purchase in a world where cookies and signal loss are prevalent and will continue to be ever growing. So being prepared in this regard is also a way to make sure that you're staying on top of everything in the digital world. So with that, I'll kick it to Badru to take through some examples.
Yeah, this is great, and love what you guys were sharing, particularly just as we think about how we're still growing in this space, and that there's, again, a lot of opportunity, and we're already seeing a number of brands already begin taking advantage of these solutions to drive their full funnel approach, as well as drive their overall strategy. Like a good example of this is with Anastasia of Beverly Hills, known as ABH, is a American-based cosmetics company that's most known for eyebrows, her eyebrow-focused products. And so this was a brand that, again, was very excited, interested in seeing how they could leverage our solutions while also finding creative ways to connect with their audience. And so in doing that, if we go to the next slide, this is a great example of how they can sort of power their strategies, leveraging things like drops as well as product tags, which are strong drivers of discovery. In addition to this, I know a lot of brands are working with creators, and this is a strategy many brands are using to connect and reach target audiences while partnering with creators that really reflect the spirit of their brands. In this case, ABH partnered with an Instagram beauty creator named Jackie Agnew, who was a partner with them on an Instagram exclusive product launch. If we go to the next slide, they had known that they were essentially planning on doing this larger launch. They wanted to do exclusively through Instagram. And so working with Jackie, they teased the product for 5 days leading up to the launch across Instagram, through her feed, through stories, as well as on other social media platforms as well. ABH, in addition, this was really leaned into the Instagram creator approach and really partnering with creators to drive excitement about the launch leading up to the actual launch. When Jackie ABH palette finally launched on Instagram, it sold out in 3 minutes and also drove a halo effect on online sales, which is great. And so I think this is just another example of not only having your own sort of marketing strategy and working with creators, but now leveraging the solutions to help drive discovery, to help build anticipation, as well as using things like product tagging, which are key drivers of engagement when it comes to shops. If we go to the next slide. For brands, it's really just about consistency being key. So we've done some studies and we've seen that using product tags in feed on a regular basis is one of the most effective ways to encourage your audience to engage with your shop. Check out partners that tag 5 or more days a month in feeds see on average an increase of 278% of product page visits, as well as 231% increase in purchases and sales. So it's really just highlights how powerful this tool is, especially for advertisers and brands that are trying to expand their reach and discovery. But it's not only for these brands, it's really good for creators as well. When creators are featured in this branded content ads, on average 13% of the profile discoveries, and so these are people that are not following this creator, have come from people who've seen that ad. And so really this is just a testament to how finding creative ways to market your products and drive engagement are very, there's a number of ways to do that. And I think it's important to not only look at checkout or look at certain features and see it, this is a main driver. I think there's a number of tools that we have released and are planning on releasing in the near future that can help support your overall marketing strategy.
Audrey, I think this is still you. You're on mute.
Very appropriate. Sorry about that, everyone. So as we think about where we're headed in the future, we're really focused on driving these experiences and building off of the things that we've continued to develop on our commerce and in this commerce space. So really building on creating differentiated shopping destinations as well as experiences across the app as we think about that unified shopping experience that we talked about earlier. We're also looking at finding ways to enable buyers to make more informed choices, giving people with this concept of always shopping. How do we give people and consumers the most information and the most relevant information to empower them to make the choices that they will love and be very happy about? The other thing is around just creating seller tools that will improve the conversions and on platform as well as to your website as well. And then the last piece is really just optimizing this and improving this checkout flow and post-purchase experience. I think as we look at the shopping experience on our platform, we're thinking about this holistically. And so we want to make sure we're not only creating a good experience as a seller, but highlighting and emphasizing on the solutions that we're having supporting our customers as well. Now I think I'm done.
Cool. So just to wrap it all up, just some actions that you can take now as a brand and make sure that you're taking advantage of this and getting involved. The first one here is leveraging the capabilities and best practices of Facebook's discovery commerce system. So if you are a D2C brand or an e-com advertiser, you're likely probably running things like DPA or any sort of dynamic retargeting ads. This will make it really easy for you to get started and set up a shop, which is actually the next point here. Test setting up a shop if you haven't done so already. That's really going to be the gateway into making sure that you're entering the commerce universe, if you will. And from there, you can curate your products for your audience by creating a collection. Badru walked through a ton of different cool opportunities that brands could take advantage of once they kick off this experience of setting up a shop. But one of them in particular that is available now to brands that are running and activating a media strategy is being able to retarget shop engagers in paid social campaigns. So while advertising capabilities are still being built out within Facebook, and we do anticipate that they will roll out over the next couple of months and definitely within the year, something that we can do now is just making sure that we're hitting people that are already visiting shops in order to continue to drive those low funnel actions for brands that are running media strategy and driving people to site. We know that people are not always going to check out through an Instagram shop yet, but making sure that we know that they visited a shop on Instagram and driving them to site to check out is still super valuable. So the next thing here is just creating shoppable content in feed and stories by using product tags. I've seen this a ton personally in my Instagram feed over the last several months, and I can tell the algorithm knows me well. I'm very interested in all of the things that I'm being served, and I'm pretty keen to brands that are already taking advantage of these things, and I'm definitely taking note of brands that have shops set up and being re-engaged. And then the last thing here is just making sure that once you set up a shop, that's like certainly not the end of the road. Consider setting up checkout and taking this to the next level so that, again, as a brand, you can continue to grow and evolve with Facebook discovery commerce as it does evolve, become available and eligible for alphas and betas as they become available, and build that brand favorability and awareness within the platform now. And I think with that, that's it. So let's talk Q&A. If anyone has any questions, the chat is open and we've got some time left. So
I can take one question. So seeing one come in around, what should I do in Business Manager to get started today if I'm interested in commerce? So that's great. For those that are already familiar with Business Manager, within that we have now created a Commerce Manager, and so I think a good start would be to create a Commerce Manager account, and it works very similar to that as far as like the onboarding flow, as well as I think that will serve as your Ads Manager, Business Manager sort of home interface to build out and support your shop. I think once you've gotten into and created this Commerce Manager, looking into things like creating collections, as well as personalizing your shop to make sure that it reflects the essence and also the spirit of your business. I think that's a great place to start. And again, it's all about establishing that digital storefront, continuing to test and learn, as well as leveraging proven practices like new things like product tags, but then also leveraging our best tried and true advertising practices as well.
cool. So next question here, do you recommend starting promotion across with feed or stories or both simultaneously? Badru, tell me if you disagree, but I feel like, best practice on Facebook is to lean into liquidity, which if you're not familiar with that term is just taking advantage of all available placements in order to drive the most efficient results and leaning into the Facebook algorithm to help you do that. So I would say both simultaneously, whatever is currently available to you, drive that additional awareness and reach those additional people by leaning into those additional placements.
That was perfect, Julie.
Nailed it. All right. I think with that, we can wrap this up. So if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to reach out and send any questions that you have to info@code3.com. And again, I just want to reiterate, thanks so much for spending time with us this afternoon. Hopefully you found this helpful, and we look forward to hearing from you.